Welcome to Porchlight, a presentation of Porchlight VNA and Home Care, providing top-rate, highly personalized care to individuals and families here in the Berkshires and also in the hill towns of Hampden and Hampshire counties and also now in the Chicopee area. Now, Porchlight is headquartered in Lee, Massachusetts, so we're very much embedded in the community and involved in the community, and we are actually members of the Lee Chamber of Commerce. And today on the program, I wanted to introduce the community to the new executive director of the Lee Chamber of Commerce. She is Colleen Henry. So Colleen, welcome to the program. It's great to have you.
Thank you, John. Thank you for inviting me. I'm happy to be here.
It's great to have you because you're relatively new to the position.
Yes,
You've been here for a few weeks as we are recording this program and just going through a very important membership drive,
Yes.
which happens every time this year. So how are things going so far?
Actually, things are going really well. We have more members than we had last year, so we're ahead a little bit. We're trying to kind of close up the membership drive because we need to produce our brochure, and we want to make sure that everybody's listed in the brochure, which is distributed throughout the county. So we're in pretty good shape. We are also selling ads for the brochure for our members, and that's also coming along very well. So actually, it's been a little hectic the first 3 weeks that I've been here, but we're making progress and we should be okay.
Yeah,
So,
you've been here for 3 weeks.
I know
So,
it,
just
yeah.
kind of get the. But it's interesting you came in at that interesting time where it was important to keep the ball rolling.
Right. It was keeping the ball rolling, and it was a little hectic since I had not done it before, and I just had to kind of jump in. But luckily, there were people like you, John, who helped us,
Yes,
who
I did.
took care in the meantime, so that when I stepped into it, it was not as bad as that could have been.
Yeah,
It could
and
have
that's
been much,
why
much
it's
worse.
important also to have great board members who have resources to
Yes.
provide and so forth. And I think this is a great board of directors that you have that is looking to do things to make sure that the businesses in Lee are really getting a bang for their buck and being able to promote Lee as the community that it is.
There's no doubt, and those really strong and active board members and volunteers, they contribute a huge amount to our operational capacity that we have. We just couldn't do it without them, and having them, not just that they're very strong, but that they've been together for a long time so that they work well together. I think that's also part of why we're in such good shape as we are. The other part about it is that we have a very robust, vibrant business community in Lee, and they're interested in continuing that and helping us to help them.
It's very interesting because here's Lee in the heart of southern Berkshire County, and of course everyone knows the Berkshires as the home for the cultural arts, and so therefore you have the ancillary businesses like the beds and breakfasts and restaurants and that sort of thing, and yet Lee has this sort of other side to it, and it's the history of with their mills and manufacturing and the paper industry and that sort of thing. So there's a lot of capacity for potential businesses that are here to grow, but also these great mill spaces that we hear about so often in Lee. So as the head of the chamber, I'm sure it's kind of this interesting, what is the definition of Lee, or what is the character of Lee, and how do you sell Lee as far as that goes? So this is an interesting question that probably comes up quite a bit.
It does, and actually I think that Lee is rather unique in the South Berkshires because they are very vibrant. It's a very vibrant community, not just with the tourism, but also year-round. That people live and work and go to school and learn and play in Lee. They don't have to go somewhere else. So it is a little bit different, and so the chamber has to be, I think, part of promoting what the Berkshires has to offer, but also promoting the economic development idea that Lee can offer to everybody, because they do have those lovely old mill buildings, and you could put all kinds of things in there. So it is a little bit different. We can't just focus on the cultural side of it, which is wonderful, culture and nature, but also that business side of it, because everyone in Lee depends on that, and it's really important. And all of the businesses benefit when we create vibrant places. Here. So I think that you're right.
And yeah, I mean, so a living, breathing community that has, everything from a large lumber yard to, like the paper industry, which, and I think Route 102 was one of the focuses that, you know, in the past, the chamber has been really, you know, dominated by, you know, our friends on Main Street, and of course we have this, the Lee outlets, which, you know, is an
Huge
incredible
huge
draw
draw, yes.
to Lee, which is, and you know, and so, you know, you have that, but then to make sure, you know, you head up through South Lee and understand that there's a lot of businesses and employees there as well.
Right, and it's important for us as the chamber to make sure that we take care of all those businesses, that we don't just focus on the ones that are higher profile, the ones that appeal to the people coming in from out of town, that we focus on what serves the people of the town, people who need to go to hardware stores and drugstores and grocery stores, and that's just as important, and we need to promote all of it and support all of them in a lot of ways, and sometimes that is a different mechanism from supporting the cultural organizations, but we're capable of doing both, so it's okay. It's just important to keep in mind that it's all of that, and it isn't just Main Street. It is, you're right, South Lee and out to the outlets and on the outlying areas. There's lots of businesses. We need to support all of them. Yes, I agree.
And one of the things that, of course, is a huge advantage for Lee is that, you know, generally speaking, if you're coming to the Berkshires, you got to come through Lee.
You do, right?
You know, it's
the gateway.
It's the gateway. You're the exit off the turnpike. I would figure that that's a huge advantage. You know, to be able to identify that as an opportunity, because frankly, you know, if you're going to Tanglewood or you're going to Jacob's Pillow or the Colonial Theater in Pittsfield or Barrington Stage, it's still generally speaking, not everyone, but you got to go through Lee for the most part.
They do, and that's why we call it the gateway to the Berkshires. Yes, I mean, there it is. It's right there. So most people do enter that way. I think that our challenge is to make sure that they don't just drive through, that they understand there's plenty here to offer, that you can go to Tanglewood and see James Taylor, which we all want to do, of course, and then you can come back to Lee and you can eat you know, at a great restaurant, or you can stay in one of our wonderful bed and breakfasts. It's not far, you know, it's only a couple miles, so there's a lot right here. So you're right. So it's a gateway, but we don't want you just to drive through the gateway. We want you to understand that even in this place, there's plenty to offer, and plenty of other things to do too. Jacob's Pillow is right here. There is hiking. There's Goose Pond. I mean, there's other activities here. Yes.
And tell me about the impact of the Lee outlets, because I mean the numbers of people who come to Lee for that, I think the numbers are pretty staggering. I don't have them off the top of my head, but it's pretty significant. And then the sort of, you know, if it is a challenge or if it isn't, I don't know if it is, but to get some of those people to be able to stay, you know, and maybe shop in Main Street a little bit, or eat at Main Street restaurant or in South Lee, that sort of thing. So tell me about that dynamic a little bit.
I think, of course, I haven't been here long enough to know completely what it is, but I do have a background. I do understand about malls and how they operate. The outlets are a huge draw, and people do come there and they shop and they eat there a little bit. My understanding is that some of those people do then come to Lee, and they do spend money on Main Street and in the restaurants and looking at the other attractions. I think that is one of the challenges, though, is to get a little more of that traffic to come down to Main Street, and I think that that's one of those things that we're going to work on. We were talking about, you know, buying a billboard right as you come off the turnpike, and people would see that, and then they would understand you don't have to just turn left, you can also turn right, and there's other things there. But I think something for us to work on. Yeah, I think so.
You know, it's very interesting because, you know, I think that even if it's a small percentage of a trickle effect, you know, it's such a huge number that there's no one who could, you know, correctly say that the outlets haven't been a very good thing for the town of Lee.
There's no doubt they're a huge draw for the town of Lee, and they are very good. The outlets themselves and their managers are good partners of ours.
Yes, they are.
So they're helping to
and they're
do
members.
That. And they're members of the chamber. Yes, they are. But even beyond that, they're trying to help the town also. It's not just about them. They understand that if the town thrives, then they're going to do even better. I mean, it's a very symbiotic relationship. So I think that they're really good about that, and they help us by keeping brochures and flyers and things at the outlet so that people will see it, so the traffic that's going there then sees that there is something else and it's right here. So they're really good about that.
So one of the major projects you alluded to before is that brochure, because
Right.
you know, again, and I think it's advantageous, you know, to be a part of that brochure, because you know, being a member of Lee, you're right at the gateway. So when people do come in, one of the first things that perhaps they'll do is stop at the Lee Information Center. You know, no other information center has that positioning in the Berkshire. So tell me about that, and you know, the advantages for a business investing, you know, with the chamber.
Yeah, the brochures, of course, are a big deal. All of our members are listed. There's also ads in the brochures. They are distributed throughout the county, which is really important because even though this is the gateway, people do enter a little bit from other ways.
Sure.
However, you're right. The visitor center is right on Main Street. It's just as people come into town, and we make sure that they're always fully stocked with our brochures. And then people do stop and pick up the brochures because they don't quite know, you know, what is here. You don't see it all when you're just visiting the information center. So then they see the listing and they have the phone numbers and they have all the contact information, and we think that's really valuable for all of our businesses. In addition to that, having the brochures in the visitor center, this year we are going to create a kind of an ad, a static slideshow, not static, a slideshow of all the ads that are in the brochure that will be at the visitor center.
Cool.
So it gives people another chance to see what's going on. That will also include an event listing. So if somebody's here and they say, oh, well, you know, what's going on tomorrow, they can sit there and watch that, and then they'll know what's going on. So there's two parts of it, and we think that'll be a really good benefit to the businesses. People are very visual, so I think they're going to like this idea of seeing on a large screen TV, just see the slideshow go by.
That's fantastic.
Yeah, that'll be a big deal.
It's a great idea.
Yeah,
great idea, no doubt.
It is. So, and we're going to try to put it in the window, so even when the visitor center isn't open, people will be able to see it.
Fantastic.
So, and that'll help us. And then, of course, it's all part of the service that we offer to the businesses. So.
Yeah, and hopefully, if the town of Lee has a sign commission, I don't think they'll have a problem with that.
I hope not. Wow.
you know, it's,
I know some of the towns do.
I know, it's funny.
Yeah.
Sign commissions are notoriously
Yeah,
challenging.
I know they are. I know.
Especially in Williamstown and maybe even Lenox. But anyway,
Well, and I deal with businesses in Stockbridge, and it's the same way with the signs. And it's like, and it's okay. You just have to follow the rules.
Yeah.
You just got to do that. That's all.
Right. That's
So,
we're all partners.
Right.
So interestingly, trying to make sure that people do stop in Lee, in part means that you have to create something for people to stop. So one of the things that has been a huge success, and from what I've seen over the last few years, has been the Founders Day. So tell me about that a little bit. The amount of planning that goes into that big event.
Yes, it's a huge event, and it's a big deal, and it's a very large community event. So it's not just for the people who are visiting. It's the residents and business owners of the area. They just love this. It's a grown each year. Now, of course, I haven't been through one yet, but what I understand is that the planning for this year started, the day after last year ended. There's a lot that goes into it, and I think part of the reason for that is because they are bringing everybody in. They're gathering up as many people as they can. Community members and business members and nonprofit groups come in and they participate. And then there is a parade, and there's the Taste of Lee, and there's the Latin Festival, and there's a 5K run and a pancake breakfast. So there's a lot of pieces to it, and it's a lot of fun for everybody.
Everything, including the kitchen sink.
It is actually including the kitchen sink, and so there's a lot of planning, but there's a lot of really good things. There's a lot of local businesses who have booths on Main Street that wouldn't normally have access to Main Street, so that's a nice thing. There's this Taste of Lee, which is all the restaurants kind of come out of the restaurant and they serve their food out on the streets, which is really fun. Turns it into a street festival, so that's really good. People like the race, of course. People love 5K races, and that's in the morning, and then there's parades. Who doesn't like a parade? So it's a lot, and it starts on Friday night. It's September 19th to the 21st, so Friday night, and then Saturday, and then Sunday morning, and then it's over. And then on Monday we start planning for next year.
And I would suggest that, even as we enter into the, spring and the summer months, last year's Founders Day is continuing. It will probably show and continue to show an impact, because what happens is when people come here, whether visitors or locals, for lack of a better term, go to Founders Day and they go out to a restaurant and they get into that. It's a habitual thing.
Yes.
So it all of a sudden creates this new habit forming to say, you know what, let's go to downtown Lee and let's check out a restaurant or what have you. I think events like that do, even though it's this one big event, it makes a big difference in the way people see a town and then actually behave within the town.
I think so, and I think that that's part of the appeal of it for the business owners in Lee, because once people come in and then they see that, especially local residents, they can say, well, there are all these great restaurants and there's all these great stores, and I didn't know that until I came here for XYZ. I came to see a parade, or I came to see, my friend was running in the race, or I wanted to be in the participate in the pancake breakfast, and then they see that and they do come back. It is a really good opportunity to bring new people to town. I don't mean just tourists, I mean local residents who don't usually spend a lot of time in town. It is a great opportunity for us to do that. So I agree. It's nice that I think the entire community benefits from it, and I think that there's kind of a nice warm feeling that your town is that active and that everyone comes out. It's at the end of the summer. Everybody's ready to relax and have a good time. So I think that there's a great appeal to it.
Now, a point to be made about the Lee Chamber: you don't have to be an organization or a
Correct.
business within the town borders of Lee to become a member, because, like you said, there are a lot of organizations that would benefit from a membership, and I know that includes Tanglewood, Jacob's Pillow, the cultural entities, Norman Rockwell Museum, others who are members, and because they realize there's a benefit to it.
Absolutely, yeah. You don't have to be operate only in Lee. I think that this is Berkshire County. It seems kind of large, but really it's kind of small. So the people who would go to Lenox, they also come to Lee, and they also go to Stockbridge, and they visit all the other little towns. So I think that we all benefit when we cooperate in that way, when we understand that if the Lee downtown is vibrant and running really well, that other people will benefit also, because none of these little towns have absolutely everything that you need. So you would go to one town for this and one town to that. So I think that you benefit by not ignoring any, but us all cooperating.
Of course, the great thing is that while not every community has everything you need, Lee's pretty close. And actually,
close.
You're pretty close,
Because you have everything here. You do have a lot of shopping, and you have restaurants, and you have places to play, and good schools and things of that nature. So you're right, they have a little more than the other towns.
Yeah.
And I think that's because of the vibrant community.
And even some trailheads into October,
That's
State
right.
Forest.
The State Forest and
Mountain.
Goose Pond and places like that. So yeah, you do. I mean, it's
And a hardware
it's
store.
And a hardware store, which is really important. There's some of these towns don't have one, and yeah, it is important. So I agree. They do. There's a lot more in one little place, but that doesn't mean there's everything. So it means you go to each little town and get what you need. But you can come to Lee for just about everything.
Yeah, so tell me about, your plans moving forward. I know, actually, there's a golf tournament as well. That's important for the
there is.
For the chamber.
A golf tournament is a fundraiser for the chamber, and it's a fundraiser for the Lee Chamber of Commerce Scholarship Fund. We give 3 scholarships a year to a Lee student, and this is our fundraiser for it. And it is, I believe, June 4th, and it's at Greenock Country Club. And anybody who wants information can check our website. It should be on there, or Facebook. And we can get information. It's a really important event because it does raise those funds for the scholarships for the local students, which we think is really important. It's also an opportunity for us to honor a few local residents that we kind of choose every year. So that's a nice thing too. So that is coming up. That's in June. That's what we have going on.
Yeah.
The scholarship fund's really, really important. So we like to get lots of people involved in that, and lots of people from the school involved in it. It is good.
And from Porchlight's perspective, of course, as people have seen, Porchlight is growing, outside of not only they were always larger than the coverage area was always larger than simply Lee, but now into Chicopee, into the Pioneer Valley, and that sort of thing. And yet, Porchlight is a very active member of the Lee Chamber. Holly Chaffee is a member of the board. So, from your perspective, a little bit about Porchlight. What tell me about our organization's role with the chamber.
Well, actually, Porchlight is very, as you've mentioned, Holly is very active in the chamber, and in fact, she is very, very active in the whole scholarship fund. That seems to be kind of her area of expertise, and so she spends a lot of time with that. She gives us a lot of time, and she, of course, it's a great organization, so we appreciate that we have people of that caliber on our board and involved in our events and in our organizational planning that we do. She really is great with that. And I think the other part about it is that Porchlight is a large enough organization that they touch enough people in the community, more than, say, I won't say the hardware store because everyone goes to the hardware store, but that kind of thing.
Sure.
That they reach out further than a lot of the other businesses do. So it is important that she's here, and she's just does such a great job. So we really like that.
And of course, we are working on a new website
Yes,
for
for the chamber.
For the chamber, and that I'm sure will be rolled out. I'm sure sometime maybe early May. That's my deadline.
Okay, well, we'll see.
We'll
We're
move
waiting.
that quickly, and I'm sure the board will be helpful in moving that forward quickly.
They will, yes.
As far as that goes.
Yeah.
But so there are lots of upgrades happening. But as far as some of your goals for the next year or so, just from a vision standpoint, what are some of the things that you're trying to achieve in the next year or so?
Well, some of the things that I'd like to achieve is that I think that we have really great events, and we have really great fundraisers, and we get a really good buy-in from the community, that people participate in a lot of them. Of course, I would like to increase that. I mean, you always want to increase that, although I think it is in pretty good shape. So I think that we're ready to go to the next step. I think the chamber is ready to really become much more active than they have in the past, and by that I mean a little more involved in the economic development. I know that there are things out there. There's the whole mill project and things of that nature. I think that we're ready to step up and do a little bit more, be a little more proactive when it comes to building rather than just promoting what's already here. That's part of what my goal would be. I think that that's a really important thing, and I think that the chamber is in a good position to do that. And I think that we're also ready to move up, to kind of go beyond what we've done before. So that would be an important goal, I think. The other goals, I think, that would just stabilizing and be maybe a little more creative with some of the events or the participants that are part of our events. I'd like to do a little bit more of that because I like that. I like that idea of community outreach. And not that we don't have any, I mean, we do, but I think that can be made a little more robust than it is right now. And it's an area where I think that we are well positioned to help in. So I'd like to see more of that. I guess, I don't know, maybe more people on the board, more young people. It'd be good to get more young people.
Youth and energy.
It is. I mean, I love youth and energy, and that's great. And we need their ideas.
Yeah.
We need not just their ideas and their energy, but they think in a different way quite often. And I think that we would benefit from that. Certainly, the younger generation, and not completely, but they're much more technologically savvy, and they could help us with that. We could move beyond what we have. Why not have an app that's for the chamber, or that's for an event, or for any of the businesses that are here? I think that we need people who can do that. Not that we don't have any, just more. We just need more of them. I think the young people can come in, and their energy and their ideas kind of overwhelms sometimes the staid, and let's just keep it the way it is. It's going fine. Let's not mess with it. So I like that. I'd like to bring them in and see what we can do, because you never know.
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah.
I never know. So.
All the best things just start with an idea,
Absolutely.
and that's important. So, as we have about a minute left, Colleen, how can people get in touch with you and learn more about the Lee Chamber? And I know it's probably late in the game to become a member here and get into, but certainly if they put a call into you, who knows? Maybe we can get you into the brochure. But how can people get in touch with you?
Okay, well, they can get in touch with me. They can check our website, which is www.leechamber.org, or find us on Facebook, Lee Mass Chamber. Would be great. And if you still want to be a member, even once our brochure is printed, then we can get you on that nice video screen that'll be in the visitor center. So it's okay.
Good point. Yeah.
And you can always send an email to info@leechamber.org.
Fantastic.
And we'll respond.
Fantastic. Well, Colleen Henry, it's a great pleasure having you on the
Oh.
program and introducing you to the community from our perspective. And you're the executive director of the Lee Chamber, so I wish you the best, and certainly we'll be right there with you doing the best for the town. So thank you very much.
All right. Thank you, John. It's been a pleasure.
And this has been Porchlight, a presentation of Porchlight VNA and Home Care. I'm John Krol. Thanks for watching.